Hello, I'm Christine, and I'm here for Teen Driving Solutions School. And I'm here with John, who has been with TDSS for over 10 years after he attended the driving course with his first daughter. And he has found it so valuable that he has invested over 10 years of his time and effort and heart into making sure that teens' lives are saved. So, John, thank you for being here, and I'm really excited to share your story.
Oh, thanks, Christine. It's nice to be invited. Yeah, Teen Driving Solutions is quite a passionate place for me, and without looking at details, just a top level is that um, my brother-in-law, we play golf. He's like, "You still deal with that driving school?" I said, "Yeah, of course I do." This is, I'm at a point in my life where I can afford both time and money to devote time like that. And instead of giving a donation to some charity, whatever, I just chose my time. And I feel it's more valuable to help other people.
Yeah. Well, and you're helping make a huge impact because when I learned as a parent who just went through the course a short while ago, how many teens are killed in accidents every year, I was floored. I mean, we all know that accidents happen, but your work and TDSS's work is having a real impact. And I would love to hear from an instructor standpoint and also as a parent whose children have gone through the course, what kind of impact it has had on your children, your family, and your view of the impact it makes on the people who could go through the course.
Okay, well, I'll try to keep that short. But first of all, just a little joke pun aside here, not so much, but we are not allowed to use the word accident.
Okay.
Okay, so an accident is a deer running in front of your car. Okay, that's unavoidable. We use crash or incident because we're trained as our instructors. Our mentor Dan and the other lead instructors are, hey, all these crashes are mostly avoidable if the right tools and the right practices are put in place. So to talk about what the impact I can go on for a long time, but to try to be short about it is I learned about the program, as you said, over 10 years ago when my daughter's getting ready to drive. There was a crash involving a couple of teens from the town I'm in that they died. It terrified us, so we went and found something, and this is where we landed, and we put her through the program. Um, and I was immediately floored by what was involved and the amount of training. So, as the weekend went along, I was fortunate to be able to spend some time one-on-one with some instructors because my wife and I both attended, and there were extra instructors sitting around. It was just a luck there. So, I really got to get a different insight of what was going on, and even before it was revealed to the parents that this is an all-volunteer program, I was asking, what do I need to do to help? I didn't care about being paid. It wasn't about that. I wanted to be involved. So,
And what
real short. I'm sorry, real short. So I started within the next couple of events. By the summer, I was out, and you probably saw as a parent cars chasing and setting up cones with drivers in them. Well, back in 2015, we didn't have an extra car in the school. You were situated on the track in the grass in the heat, and when the cones went down, you ran down and you set them back up and you ran back away. So these cone chasers, they have it pretty easy these days. So I spent some time doing that and volunteering anywhere I could, and then attended their training program. And that's there's knowing now how the training program works is in the background. The trainers for future instructors are asked outside of the future trainee how this person is. You know, uh, First and foremost is driving skills, and very importantly is personality. Can they communicate? It's very difficult. I'm not the most outgoing person, and to be shoved into a vehicle with three unknown teens, and you got to make this work. And on Sundays, it's 2.5 hours at a shot. Um, you need to find creative ways to have conversations to keep the program going.
Yeah. And one of the things I noticed when I went through the program with my son is how much the instructors care, how much
Oh yeah.
Dan cares. And that's
Oh
one
yeah.
of the things that you were talking about that's so special about TDSS and the instructors that are there and how they're matched with
Mhm.
teens who might need extra attention or who have particular fears about driving or have been in accidents. Can you talk more about that, please?
Sure. Just to the top level, as far as the instructor's care, that's going to be really just briefly here. As you know now, this is a volunteer program, so it not only we're volunteer time, there's a cost impact that these instructors are absorbing. We may be like myself. I'm fortunate. I'm only an hour or so away. It doesn't cost that much, but we have instructors that are 4 hours plus away that are driving their personal vehicles, their personal fuel, their personal time just to get to the program. So that alone is pretty much blows away in the dedication. But yeah, speaking to the pairing process we call it, that's kind of Dan Wagner's magic, where the parents are asked a couple questions on the registration form. One of them is, what is the reason they're enrolling their teen? And there's a free text there that they can put whatever they want. And the other one is, do they have any other special concerns? So finally, we ask, was there a ticket? Had they had a ticket, or was there a driving incident? So all that information, as Dan is selecting the teens and matching them personally with each staff instructor, he's looking at this text that the parents have submitted. Sometimes it's very short. Okay, they're just an average teen, not to say take anything away from them. There's no outliers. We're going to train them, make the best driver they can be. Other times there might be mental or physical challenges that this teen endures. And we don't discriminate against that. We find a way, and what we do ask is, the parents be honest with us. We can be prepared for it, because the more information they share, the better we can be prepared. And Dan has a chance to um, absorb that information as well and reach out to the parent registering a child to ask further questions if there are special cases we need to be. It's very personalized.
Right. And as a parent who my child just recently turned 16, I was terrified for him to start driving, not because of he might make a mistake. And when he completed the driving learning class at the high school, I thought, is that it? Oh my gosh, how could he
Yeah.
possibly be
Mhm.
ready and prepared to respond to things I know that can happen on the road because they've happened to me. They've happened to people that I've known. And I was terrified. I was so lucky that someone mentioned TDSS to me, and I enrolled right away as soon as I read about what the program's about. And from a parent's perspective, I, want to really emphasize how impactful it is on the parent. The parents get even potentially more learning out of the course, or as much as anyway, the teens do. And I would love for you to share your experience as a parent whose children went through and what kind of impact you think your it had on your children and their driving skills, as well as your driving skills and what you've observed as an instructor over all of these years with TDSS.
Yeah, so I touched on that earlier in the interview, is that as the why, and then the result is, well, my kids have both crash free for many years now, um, and we're like yourself. We're in a bigger metropolitan area, so that just amplifies the risk factor ratio of, we want to call it, of what the how the chances are better that you might have an incident, or some case, or some crazy person doing some silly thing. I can name so many things that can happen. And if I could just give you one quick example of a recent um, incident, nothing happened out of it, to myself. If I could do that. I do drive a Tesla, and then if you don't know, Tesla has cameras everywhere around it. The whole car is covered with cameras. I was commuting to my client a couple Tuesdays ago, early in the morning. It was daylight now, but it was not far from daylight, so the deer are moving. I was on a rural road doing, oh, there's a 55-mile road. I'm probably doing 60, 65 with the traffic, but not much traffic, very spread out. Two-lane road. There's a car coming towards me in their lane, just normal, and then me, and then um, the car was driving currently in full self-driving mode. So it's driving along, and next thing you know, the deer pops out from the brush, and the car saw it immediately. It started to brake, but I wasn't, I was looking at the entire situation, but the car was not. So the car was avoiding the deer. But what I was looking at is the lady coming at me in the other direction. I could avoid the deer easily, but that deer is going after her because what happened was, as I took the car and I started braking even harder than it was trying to do, and then I looked to see at this point, the deer was just off my front left fender when I'm on the brakes, and the lady in the SUV was probably only 20 feet in front of me on her lane. It's going into her car. As soon as the deer cleared my corner, I was hard on the throttle and going right to get away from it because I know that deer is going to hit that car and what's going to happen. I don't want it back into me. So, sure enough, she hit the deer, and the deer tried to jump her car, didn't make it, and landed broadside on her windshield. Um, I kept going for a minute, adrenaline moving. But after I got my wits, I'm like, I got that all recorded. I'll go back, make sure she's okay, and offer her contact for the video if she wants it. So she did that. She's okay. She was a little shooken up. Some other ladies had stopped and were talking to her. But anyway, I went back and I pulled the video. And that deer, sure enough, I had it cleared and then it hit her car. And you look at the cameras, that deer went probably 15, 20 feet airborne, spinning in the air after she hit it. So who knows? What I was thinking, if I didn't react to that, it could have bounced right back into me, causing me a crash, and which would be a crash or an accident at that point, what we would say unavoidable. But being that I was proactive and I was more aggressively driving, not just being defensive driving, because of this just situation, I avoided it. And I avoided any outcome of what happened after the fact. So those are the things we're talking to the teens about, is that, hey, this happened, Christine. It was less than a second that this happened. And I was, be honest with you, I was a little bit dozed off, not sleeping, but the car was driving. So I was driving the car, but I didn't have my hands on the wheel until I saw the deer coming down off the right side of the road. And the car tapped the brakes. So,
That's amazing. And I mean, I think of like if my son prior
exactly.
to
Mhm.
TDSS would have been behind the wheel, how would he have reacted? How would I have reacted?
Exactly.
And one of
Exactly.
the things that I remember from the course so vividly is Dan saying, look where you want to go.
Absolutely. Number one rule.
Number one rule, never was taught that in when I was learning to drive. My
Mhm.
son was never taught that in his driving classes at school, but you guys are teaching strategies for people to be able to mitigate risk, avoid a crash, and handle the situation appropriately so hopefully no one gets hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. So the kind of the steps are is if you if you're looking at the situation far enough in advance, you're a spectator of what's going on around you, not a participant. That's the number one thing you want to be is that, hey, don't even get anywhere near that to begin with. The next thing to know to do is the teens are taught is that if something were to happen, where do I go? What's my escape plan? And then the last thing is um, being able to handle the recovery without putting themselves or other people at harm while they're doing the recovery, such as we're talking about the off-road recovery that we push the teens into. We're at speed, speed meaning between uh, 25 or 30 miles an hour in the morning and 40, 45 or plus in the afternoon, off the road into the grass. Things are going on, flying around. Don't make that a big deal. The end of the weekend, we want the team to think it's okay. We go off the road, don't panic. And Dan can talk about numerous teams that have their parents have reported back to him about this is what happened and this is how the teen reacted and they got it. they avoided, what potentially could have been a serious issue. Now, we can't avoid all of them, obviously, but the percentage is very, very high of how long these teens go while we're tracking them incident free. And we track them for 4 years, and we're at 98, 99%. Dan can tell you the exact numbers. It's very high.
Right. And I think that's one of the most important things for parents and teens to both understand is even if a parent or teen feels confident in their own driving ability, often overconfident, because
Right.
the learning classes that people typically go through to learn how to drive don't give you the hands-on experience like TDSS does on the skid pads or avoiding obstacles, going off the road and recovering like you were just talking about. One of the biggest dangers is other people. They don't know how to respond appropriately either, most often. So when you have those skills as a parent or a teen, like you said, to notice your situation, that you're trained to do that and to respond appropriately, absolutely saves lives.
Yeah. So, um, I'm trying to go back to what you had just said. I just kind of lost it there for a minute. But uh, as far as being for the reactivity, or oh no, I got it now. So you talked about competence versus skills. So yeah, that's a major thing we talk about, is that we want to bring their skill levels up, but we do not let their competence get higher than their skill level. And then as an instructor, I instructed, like I said, for many years until I moved into a different role in the past couple of years, more of an operational. Is that you're going to have teens with different skill levels within your car, and it's sometimes we have to address those. We don't want to bring one teen down that might be a little bit less on a skill level than another one that might be exceptional. We don't want to uh, take away from the experience or the skill gaining from either one of them. So we try to personalize the training to each team as much as we can. So one team we might be going at different speeds and different maneuvers because this team can handle it, where the other one is not quite there, whether it's their physical capabilities or their experience level, whatever it may be. It doesn't matter. But we try to make sure that we customize that to what the team can do and push them as far as they can, and not push them to the point of no return, because it does happen. We've had many cases where instructors will talk to each other and say, "Oh, this team was doing great in the morning session. What happened?" Well, it's information overload kind of thing. They are so highly stimulated in the morning, and then you go back and talk to the parents, and sometimes the parents might be a little bit too much of a helicopter or whatever the case may be, and then the team comes back and then they're scared again. Like, what happened? What? They were doing so great, so we tried. Now we're rebuilding again. So I've personally seen it, from a instructor and a lead instructor, is sometimes the parents do get in the way. We like to let these teens be themselves, and let us train them. Please try to avoid being the helicopter mom or dad while we're at school. We got it. They're in a safe spot. They're not going to get injured. Let them exceed to whatever they can do, because it's going to be their lives we're saving in the end.
Well, and I'll tell you just how I saw my own son evolve over the 2 days
Mhm.
of the course was amazing. He went from being scared to drive and not wanting to drive, which seems to be typical of his generation
Mhm.
in a
Yeah.
lot of ways, to blowing my mind when we were driving the track and I was in the back seat.
Oh
And,
yeah.
as a parent who was terrified to get in the car with him before the
Yeah.
course, I feel a lot better about his skill when
Sure.
I'm logging the hours and making sure he's paying attention and going through the commentary driving that we're taught how to do parent and child in the
Mhm.
TDSS course. And his confidence level is has increased. He's not overconfident. He feels capable. I think it is
Sure.
capable to the level he should feel capable
Yeah.
at this point in his driving career.
Yeah, so the entire scenario is like the evolution of the human being, if you want to think about it. I'm just kind of pulling this out of my head. Is that it's you have to crawl first, and then you walk, and then you run, and then you sprint. it's the same thing that these instructors maybe not using those terms, but that's what they're doing from Saturday through the end of Sunday. Is they're getting these teams to go further and further in the progress of what they can possibly do. And then at the end of the day is the reward for the parent to see the graduation run. And the parents have seen at that point what their teen is going to do in the snap oversteer situation on the skid pad. Um, but that's a demo. Um, but to see their child have the car put in a heavy slide at pretty good rate of speed, and then they recover this whole thing uh, without a problem. And as an instructor teaching these children this, you talk about the competence and skill level. I've had a lot of them say, "I can't do that." I said, "Yes, you can. Two rules. All you got to do: look where you want to go and steer the car where you want it to point. You don't have to talk about counter steering and what to do, uh, brakes, no brakes, no, just look where you want to go and point the car there." And if the teens that listen and take that coaching to heart, they can do it. No matter almost no matter what the skill level initially, they might not be ready to be on the road because they've come to school a little too early from a seat time perspective, but they can still do the mechanics. They need the experience, the road experience.
Absolutely. And, my son was maybe a little reluctant to go to the course.
Mhm.
Um, at the end, he was like, as in teenager speak, he said, Mom, that was pretty Sigma.
Mm.
Which is a good
Well,
thing. He
yeah,
had
I
so
mean,
much fun and he learned so much, and I had so much fun and learned so much, even at my, I won't disclose how old I am, at my advanced age, shall we say. It
sure.
was absolutely amazing. So, kind of
It,
to wrap things up and bring it home,
mhm.
why do you think it's important for parents and teens to attend a course like TDSS, and specifically TDSS? What are the things they will walk away with, the skills that they will have that they wouldn't otherwise have?
Well, first of all, as a dad, and as a mom, is that it's challenging and scary, especially the more metropolis the town you live in is. What's going on and how do you attack the situation of getting your teen to survive this age of learning how to drive with all the other people out there. And frankly, maybe you'll admit this, maybe you won't, but we see it as instructors. These parents don't know how to drive. They don't. They survive and they manage, but they we can over and over again we show them that how the their vehicle recovery skills are not quite there either. And so how can they teach their children vehicle recovery skills if they don't know how to do them initially? And being from a southern part of the US, we don't get much snow. So, unlike myself, where I would, at a very young age when I started to drive, it was easy to go find a parking lot with covered in snow and learn how to recover a skid because it was fun. But these kids, I mean, where do you find a place to do so? And to summarize this whole thing, and my daughter, um, she went to this program. She's a fairly introverted child. She's fantastic. Um, we had a snowstorm that winter after she um, attended, and so maybe it's 6 months later. I don't know if she was licensed yet, but maybe it's close to it. I'm like, let's go play around. So we got in my truck and we went and found a parking lot. And we're going around in circles. And I'm trying to get in her, slide the car. But her training wouldn't let her. Every time the car started to slide, she recovered the skid and then fixed it. So like, okay, there you go. That's it. Her training and her reactions are just reacting to the car sliding before it gets anywhere near a situation. So that'll tell you there's a program right there.
Right there, absolutely. It's the muscle memory versus the intellectual theory of
Correct.
driving.
Correct.
And that will absolutely save your life someday. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, John, for
Sure.
sharing behind the scenes perspective from TDSS, and also sharing your experience as a parent. Really appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Christine.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.